Hey, what's going on, everyone? I am back for another Slim Sports interview. And as always, I'm your host, Jay Slim. And joining me today is a literal champion, not just because that's also his last name, but he knows how to win with the best of them, leading any team that he's been a part of to a title, to a championship. I'm talking about Frank Champion. How's it going, man?
Hey, how you doing, man? I'm just happy to be here, like you said, I mean, that is my last name, but you just got to try to embrace, some people might think it is as it's a little pressure, but can't see it like that.
Hey, well, you handle the pressure well, apparently, because everywhere you've been able to find some success. You stepped up at the Division II ranks for your first part of your career, came into Chattanooga this past season, and just went on an absolute tear. And I want to talk about some of your accomplishments just this past season alone in a quick segment that I like to call Rewind and Recap, where I'm going to
Okay.
rewind the clock all the way back to just a few months ago when you guys won the regular season championship in the SOCON Conference, 2025 regular season champs for the Moccasins at Chattanooga State. You yourself, you were named All SOCON second team selection. Even though you did miss some games throughout the season, you put up some incredible numbers to earn all conference honors and also 2025 SOCON Newcomer of the Year. Great transfers came in. You were the best of the best and ended up helping this team to such a good record, so much success, where you guys won the 2025 NIT tournament, got another championship to your belt to go along with the long list of accolades that you have throughout your career. And it's amazing because at North Georgia, you were a two-time All-American. You helped lead them to the national tournament, made a run in the national tournament, I believe, your last year there
Yeah, we
and
did.
stepped into Chattanooga State right away. You were a leader. Right away, you were a key factor for their system. How would you say all of those accolades and your resume from North Georgia really allowed you to come in and immediately make an impact for the Mocs?
I mean, I think it just helped gain a different perspective. I think a lot of people that don't get to play Division II basketball or don't really get to, know from really any basketball that's like non D1, you just get a different perspective. You get to see a lot of things about basketball. You get to meet a lot of people. I think you make your relationships you make is better because it's like the pressure and the intention is a little bit different at that level. So just coming from the Division II where I got to like, kind of grind and work my way up and be able to lead and be able to gain that confidence. I think coming into a Division I, it was like it was easy for me. It was just second nature. Like it just because I didn't see the pressure, it wasn't to me like bust or nothing. It was just like, enjoy the process, making yourself up, just going to prove yourself. So to me, it was like second nature.
Yeah, you actually finished your North Georgia career as the all-time leading scorer for that program. I do want to point that out because they're in a very tough conference at the Division II ranks. My buddy Rajon Blackwell and Josiah Shackelford recently competed in that conference.
Yeah. They were
Them and myself, I believe that's probably the best conference in all of D2. So,
yeah, I know it's tough. I tell people about it all the time. The Peach Belt is like, I mean, because you got a lot of guys that Division I transfers that come down, a lot of kids that probably should have went D1, but it don't end up working out that way. But you end up in the Peach Belt, and it's always good hoops. So I love it.
yeah, and you got to make your name known at the Division I ranks this past season, even though you did have to battle through injuries throughout the season. You ended up starting off the season, missed, I believe it was the first 8 games
Yeah, I missed the first 8.
to where, you weren't able to compete, and then you came in and just immediately had a spark on the floor for the Moccasins. Did end up missing the postseason because of another injury, but still found a way to help out your teammates, giving them that energy from the bench, coaching them from the sideline. How would you say you handled that process throughout this past season, going through those injuries and still finding a way to contribute?
Well, the first one was kind of tough just because it was like I was just very excited. Like, it was a lot of anticipation and like I had got through the summer and like the summer was so great. So it was just a lot of like, oh man, I can't wait to get out there. And then the first day I got hurt and that kind of put a little question up in the air. But just being around, like a group of guys that we had, like they kind of make you want to be able to compete every day and, bring that energy. So for me, it was just like if they can feed into me, I can be able to feed in them and keep my head up and keep my spirits up. So, that's just then my whole mentality is just, going with the flow, like, just taking what I'm given and just trying to work with that because that's just been the story of my life. So that's what I try to do. And for me, I mean, that's why this championship this year, like the NIT was just so special because I got to like contribute to the team in, different ways I haven't been before. Like I've always been, like you said, leading the team and maybe being the leading scorer, being the leading player, or being whatever it is to like lead my team. But it was so different from giving that impact on the bench and like seeing, what my team really needed that or ways I can help my team that didn't involve me actually being on the floor. So that's why this championship was real special.
Absolutely. And you had won championships with North Georgia before heading into a Chattanooga program that has a lot of history of success. It wasn't too long ago. They were in March Madness, I believe, just 2, 3 years ago, something like that. Uh,
22. Yeah.
Usually one of the top teams in the SOCON every single season. And you just seem to blend with that championship culture, with that mentality. How would you say you were able to bring that mentality, that championship culture over and kind of blend that and influence the rest of your teammates to have that kind of mentality as well?
Well, I think, I would love to take the credit for that, but I think I might have to put that one on Coach. I think Coach Dan, he did a real good job of bringing in a good bit of championship pedigree guys. Like, I mean, he brought in me, he brought in Garrison Keesler, Bash Wheelan, Jack Costle, and these are all guys that also played Division II that were like respectively careers at their own institutions. So, bringing us into a core group of guys like Trey Bonham and Hunter Huff, who like are really good talented players, but maybe haven't won nothing at that level yet, but they know what it takes, and bringing in a group of guys that could put around them to add that sense of different perspective, but winning at the same time. I think that's really what contributed to us all because we all could pour in like I can give my leadership perspective from this point of view, and Garrison may be a little bit different, and Jax may be a little bit different, but bringing it all together, I think it just gelled so perfectly that like we all could just lead the way with that.
There you go. And you guys as a team went 29-9 overall this past season, 15-3 in SoCon conference action. Obviously, won the 2025 NIT championship and had some incredible games throughout the year overall, and especially in that NIT tournament. I mean, 109, 103, triple overtime win versus Middle Tennessee to really show that grit and grind mentality. Beat a tough Dayton team 87-72. And that championship game was a nail biter, 85-84 win in overtime against UC Irvine. And
Yeah.
while unfortunately you missed the postseason, throughout the regular season, you put up a ton of highlights that I want to talk about in this segment that I like to call Make That Play, where I've got some of the best, in my opinion, of what you did this past year for
Mhm.
Chattanooga. And while I have my top three on this list that we'll get into, obviously, I'm just the fan in the stands. You're the one actually on the court doing what you do best. What would
Yeah.
you say was your top play from this past season?
Top play. I mean, I gotta go with the one that made Sports Center. It was against Western Carolina. It was like a Sports Center top four. I think I was four maybe. But I got like a block. I got a chase down block. I was guarding him, got like a block off the backboard, and then I just took off sprint around the court, and then Trey threw me a lob, and like I caught it. It was real high, so I didn't even think I was gonna get it. Like we all like one like if you know like our team like our coach hates lobs. Like he does not like them at all. So when we threw it, it was kind of crazy, and it was a pretty close game too. When I caught it and I dunked it, and like just the momentum, like the crowd, like everybody around Chattanooga always says that's the loudest that they've heard McKenzie Arena in years. So like I'm gonna have to put that up there with my top one.
Hey, I completely agree with you because that's number one on my list as well. Defense
Yeah,
to offense. You had that big time block on the defensive end. Like you said, you came on down, they threw you that alley-oop, and you caught it one-handed, tomahawk slam right on top of Western Carolina at home. And like you said, that crowd went nuts. And that's a big part why I had that at number one. And number two, I have another big time dunk from the dunker's spot, and you went up with a defender trying to block you from behind and just posterized him right there. And then number three, pick and roll leading to another monster slam going against ETSU, where you
yeah,
hit a perfect screen, roll down middle of the paint. Your teammate found you perfect. You went up and another boom, two-hand slam right there. So
yeah,
you just seem to really blend in really well with the system that Chattanooga had in place to where you yourself and your teammates around you were able to be effective from the scoring front on the defensive end. You guys ended up being second in the SoCon in points per game and first in field goal percentage, so knew how to be able to take those effective shots.
yep.
Uh, Talk to me real quick about how this Chattanooga system really helped utilize players so well to where you guys were able to be top in the conference in those stat categories.
Well, I think the whole concept of our system is for everybody to like kind of be able to get a touch and be able to get like the shot that they want with like confidence. Like our coach wants us to have confidence. Like our motto was see, share, shoot. It's like see the open man, you share it to him, he shoots it. So it's like when I got hurt, and it was kind of that was one of the big things that I used from my perspective when I got hurt at the beginning of the year. I got to sit on the bench and really see for those first 8 games like what we needed or what it was we were going to bring. And like while I didn't know exactly what my role could be, I knew how I can play and I knew how I could kind of be effective. So like our system is it's basically like a Princeton based offense with a lot of actions out of it, and you can kind of do and customize what you want. So when you have like a 5 man that first that can pass, but then bringing one that can bring versatility, it just opens it up for everybody. Because like for me, like I couldn't wait to get back out there because I was like, I remember telling my roommate, I'm like, man, I might try to average 8 assists this year just because of like how much I just love to pass and like how much the opportunities would be open. So it's like, at first it took me a little while to make sure to manage the turnovers and make sure, to get that adjustment. But I think just the whole point of the system is just, if you think it's an open shot and the man gave it to you, like take it. Do it like do like we all have confidence in each other. So take your shot.
There you go, man. You yourself, you average 11 and a half points per game, nearly 5 rebounds and 4 assists on the year while shooting 56% from the field. So taking those effective shots like we talked about. And throughout the season, you had a 21.8 rebound, 9 assist game versus Western Carolina, really flirting with a triple double there. 24, 7, and 6 against Mercer, and then 20 points and 6 rebounds against Welford. So you were able to find your ability to score and be able to also dish to your teammates, where I believe you guys had 3 or 4 double figure scores. Like I mentioned, obviously being one of the top teams in the SOCON in points per
Yeah.
game. What part of your game would you say really stuck out the most for this team this past season that contributed to the success and elevated this team as a whole?
For sure, my passing. Passing and versatility. I think that was the two. I think once we found our groove, like in the mid of the season, we were averaging like 20. Like it was a bunch of games where 20 assists, 20 assists, 20. I think it was like 5 or 6 games in a row where we were getting 20 assists as a team, and 20 assists as a team is crazy. That's hard to beat when teams are doing like that. So I think my passing ability and my willingness to make those tough passes, it opened up a lot of things for our offense because teams knew like, hey, like he'll pass that, or hey, like you gotta actually guard that or pinch in on that action because he'll make that pass, and that opens up. I make that pass to the back cutter, and the cutter can make the next pass because now I may not get the assist or the stat, but it's like it just opens up the offense to be willing to make those tough passes or those plays within the offense.
Yeah, and that obviously contributed to a great run that you had in towards the end of the regular season. 11 straight wins to finish out regular season action, where you guys, just dominated opponents left and right. You took down some of the top teams in that conference. And the SoCon has very talented teams. Samford, their head coach, is now at Texas A&M, I believe. Furman, obviously, they have a rich history just like Chattanooga does.
Yep.
What really clicked at the end of the season to where you guys were able to go off on this run and claim the regular season championship?
Well, I know for me personally, like at that time, that's when I was feeling like finally like myself, like I was feeling healthy. I felt like I knew the offense. I felt like my coaches for myself kind of got the trust in me to allow me to do my thing. And I felt like as a team, like once that all just gelled together, like it was just like we were at the point where like we kind of just knew exactly what we needed to bring every night. Like and we had ramped up our defense wasn't our forefront. But when we took up that step defensively to put the effort into it and the intentionalness into it, it opened up so much for us. Like it just ramped up our game, our team, like our energy. So I think that was like a key contribution to that 11 or maybe 12. It was a 12 or at least an 11 game win streak.
It
Yeah.
was 11 game win streak to end the regular season, and then you also had one to start off the SoCon tournament. So
Yeah.
12
Gotcha.
game win streak
12
total
game. Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Yeah. Gotcha.
And you mentioned the defense. You actually also averaged, like, I believe it was a steal and a half and a block and a half per game as
Yeah.
well. So really contributed on that side of the court for your team in that run. And although you ended up missing the postseason because of the success you guys had throughout the regular season, Chattanooga earned a bid into the NIT tournament. That obviously you guys went on a tear and won the whole
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
So what, as a guy that unfortunately couldn't participate, but was still a leader for this team, coaching from the sidelines as a player coach type of thing. What
Yep.
would you say went into this incredible postseason run in the NIT?
I think it was just I don't know if I want to use the word desperate, but I mean, I almost do. I think it was just we were desperate to just keep playing with each other. Like we just really wanted to like, especially when I kind of went down and not necessarily it changed up our SoCon hopes, but of course, that changes the trajectory. And when we end up losing that game, that tough game to Furman, it's like, okay, we know we still got another shot. It's like, do we, a lot of teams can get the like, teams get invited to the NIT and they opt out and they do this and that. But for us, it was just like, man, we get the opportunity to keep playing more basketball together, get to be around each other, like that the group was that special. And that was our motivation every night, like coach comes in the locker room, he's like, I wouldn't want to get to play with another game with any other guys. So that right there can just get a group growing.
And there you go, man. And guys like yourself that have had such an incredible journey that don't get talked about enough are why I do this podcast so you guys can get the recognition that you deserve, get your name in the spotlight in some way or another. And that's
Yeah,
why I'm always trying to find new players to have on like yourself. And that's why I have this segment that I like to call Who's Up Next, where you can actually recommend some players for me to have on the podcast, reach out, check out their numbers, and get their name out there in the media as well. Two rules to this, though. First of which, whoever you recommend, got to help me get them on, got to help me reach out. And number
got
two, I do need at least one player that was not a teammate at Chattanooga this past season. So you can give multiple of each if you want, but at least one where maybe they're somebody a star at North Georgia or somebody at another Division One school.
Yeah. Well, I mean, of course, I definitely want, I know you talked about my all-time record at North Georgia, but it's definitely going to get broken this year by AJ White. I think AJ White, you should get him on the podcast. He'd be a good one. That's my guy. He's, point guard at North Georgia. He just went back there, but he'll have a pretty good year this year. This year, he's like 200 points away from me. So we talk junk about it, and I'd be like, dang man, you got to go back. I couldn't have the record for longer than 2 years, but. I still got the rebounding one, so I'll be fine with that. But yeah, so AJ, I definitely say AJ White. That's a teammate from North Georgia. Who's another good one? Yeah, I think Bash would be a great person to get on the podcast too. But I don't know exactly as far as what he's doing with his basketball career, but I think just talk like I think he would be a great one to get on the podcast. Talk and get his perspective about things because that's a good dude right there.
There you go. Those are some great names right there for who's up next. And now we got to talk about what's next for yourself. You can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I believe your collegiate eligibility is up
Yeah,
to where now you're leaving the college ranks and maybe looking to go pro, or I'm not entirely sure what
yeah.
you're doing. That's why I have this question. So, what is next for Frank Champion?
Yeah, well, I am going pro right now. So, I was hurt at the end of the year, but I'm back, back recovering, getting back into my back finally out there playing. But, whatever the options is, overseas, if I get to the G League, the NBA, that's, whatever the path is, but I'm definitely going to continue to play pro in basketball as long as I can.
Hey, there you go, man. Definitely can't wait to see what you do at the professional ranks. Definitely going to be watching your highlights, doing what you do best throughout wherever you end up, even if it's overseas. And if you are in the G League or the NBA, I'm coming out to a game. I gotta support you, man.
Sure.
'Cause
For sure,
I
for
know
sure,
you're
man.
gonna have some highlight dunks and some nice assists to your teammates. So
For sure, for
congrats on
sure.
a great career so far. Obviously, it's still young because you got more ahead of you in the pros. But
Yeah.
thanks so much for taking time out of your busy day to hop on this podcast and do this interview.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you, man.